The colony that called for help. The stars above Kestara 4 were bright and calm. The colony was small, just 3,000 people. No weapons, no soldiers. Only scientists, engineers, farmers, and children. They were dreamers, builders. They believed they were safe, far from wars, far from power. They were wrong. Day 1. Silence in the sky. It started with static. The colony's orbital sensors blinked once, then twice, then died. Communications cut out. Satellite feeds turned black. Drones stopped responding. At first, people thought it was a solar flare. Then they heard the sound, a low hum, like something heavy moving through the sky. Elder Kyle, the colony's governor, stood on the main tower and looked up. There in the clouds, massive shadows moved, not Terran, not friendly, alien ships, cold, sharp, silent. He pressed the emergency beacon. To Earth Command, this is Kestara 4. Unknown, vessels entering orbit, no identification, no communication. We are not armed, we are not military, please respond. The first strike. The alien ships didn't speak, they fired. One pulse beam turned the water towers into glass, another cut through the power plant. People ran, children screamed. A school dome collapsed and smoke covered the hills. Kyle sent another message even as dust filled his lungs. We are under attack. Civilians only. Repeat. Civilians only. Requesting immediate rescue. Anyone, please. The last transmission, inside the colony's underground relay station, a young tech named Laura worked in panic. She rewired cables, boosted the signal, and aimed it straight at Earth. She didn't know if it would make it, but she tried anyway. This is Laura Marin of Kestara 4. They're killing us. We didn't do anything, please. Don't let this be the end of us. Then the roof caved in, and silence returned. At Earth, High Command, 12 hours later in a dark chamber under New Geneva, Earth's generals stood around a glowing map. The signal had arrived. Barely. The room was still. Admiral Riker stared at the recording. He saw the fires. He heard Laura's voice. He said nothing for a long time. Then he looked up. This wasn't a battle. This was a massacre. Earth doesn't forget. Earth hadn't fought a war in 60 years. People said humans had changed, that they had grown soft, peaceful, tired. But deep beneath the surface, Earth still remembered. In the hangars of Luna Base, in the shipyards of Titan, Forge, in the databanks of forgotten AI minds. And now, all of it was waking up, not for conquest, not for territory, for vengeance. The activation commander, Soren, entered the chamber marked Omega. She placed her palm on the scanner. The screen turned red. A voice echoed. Protocol Omega, 1 colony lost. Response, launch. Across Earth's core systems, alarms rang. Holograms lit up, drones rearmed, engines powered on. Hangar doors opened in every system, and the number appeared. 800,000 ships, Earth's largest fleet ever assembled. Hidden, waiting. Now, it was moving. The galaxy hears nothing. No news was broadcast. No threats were sent. The alien. Attackers celebrated in silence, thinking they had erased a tiny dot on a forgotten map. But Earth never forgot. And when Earth moves, it does not move lightly. Final scene aboard EHS Vindicator, the flagship of the Omega fleet. Admiral Riker stood. On the deck, he wore black. His face was cold. In his hand, he held a small metal tag. Laura Marin, Kestara 4, age 19. He clipped it to his armor, then gave the order. All ships, set course for Kestara system. This is not a rescue. This is an answer. Engines fired, space twisted, and Earth went to war. The silence before the storm. No messages were sent. No threats were given. No warnings came from Earth. Only silence. But behind that silence, the galaxy had no idea what was rising, because when Earth decides to respond, it does so. With fire the stars cannot contain. Across the solar system, all across Earth's controlled space, something was happening. On the frozen moons of Neptune, buried launch bays opened for the first time in a century. On Jupiter's stormy skies, massive carriers lifted from skydocks like rising titans. Mars' inner crust rumbled as weapon satellites and quantum war cores came online, and in orbit around Luna, the Omega network blinked bright red. The command AI simply said, "All systems. Combat active. Begin full Warfleet synchronization. No media, no speeches, just orders." There were no press conferences, no public rallies, no heroic announcements. Earth had learned from the old wars. Emotion could wait. Now was the time for response. Every pilot who boarded knew the truth. This wasn't just revenge. This was message. A single colony had fallen, and Earth wanted the galaxy to remember what happened next. Forever. Inside the flagship, EHS Vindicator Admiral Riker stood alone in the strategy chamber. Walls around him showed shifting star maps. Red markers spread like bloodstains. Behind him, Commander Vale approached. "They're still trying to figure out who attacked us," she said quietly. Riker didn't turn. "We'll find out." Vale hesitated. "But we're launching before confirmation?" Riker slowly turned to her. His voice was cold steel. A colony filled with unarmed civilians was turned into dust. Whoever did it made themselves the enemy. If they wanted mercy, they shouldn't have touched Kestara. Vale said nothing else. Because she knew. Earth did not move in anger. It moved in justice. The Omega fleet forms. In deep space, 800,000 ships moved together in perfect silence. No lights flashed. No. Comms crackled. They were ghosts in the void. Armored giants. Destroyers, carriers, drone swarms, medical vessels. AI-enhanced war machines. This was not just a fleet. This was Earth's judgment. And leading them all, cutting through the black, was EHS Vindicator. The Watchers react far across the galaxy. In distant empires and neutral sectors, long-range sensors pinged, then failed. Nothing moved like this. Nothing this big, this fast, this quiet. On the core planet of the Sornax regime, war analysts watched in horror. One whispered, "It's not an invasion. It's a funeral procession for whoever did this." Other powers scrambled to respond. Some sent diplomats. Some activated their own defense systems. But none of them knew if Earth even cared, because Earth hadn't sent a word. And that's what terrified them most. Whispers from Old Warzone, a forgotten mining colony, an old veteran, half-blind, mostly metal, watched. The growing feed. He tapped his cane against the floor. "I told them," he muttered. "I told them Earth would come back one day." His granddaughter, curious, asked, "Why are they so scary?" The old man looked at her with tired eyes. "Because they don't fight for power. They fight because they remember. The one mistake on." The edge of the Kestara system, a pirate faction aligned with the attackers picked up the Omega fleet signature. They thought Earth wouldn't notice them. They tried to flee through a hyperspace gate. They didn't get far. EHS Shadow Veil, one of Earth's stealth execution ships, dropped out of slipspace. In one single strike, it folded their command ship into itself. No fire, no sound, just disappearance. A message was sent afterward to all pirate channels. "You were near Kestara." That was enough. The message ended with coordinates marked erased. Earth still doesn't speak. By the time the Omega fleet neared the Kestara system, 17 enemy ships tried to flee. They were not warned. They were not chased. They were removed, cleanly, silently, no wreckage left behind. Meanwhile, on Earth in the cities, people went to work, children went to school. There was no panic, no fanfare, because Earth knew what was happening, and every citizen trusted their fleet. They didn't want blood, they wanted peace. But they all agreed on one thing. If someone harms one of us, they'll answer to all of us. Final scene. The Omega fleet entered Kestara orbit. EHS Vindicator locked onto the exact coordinates of the fallen colony. The site was now only black ash. No sound. No survivors. Admiral Riker stood on the observation deck holding Laura Marin's ID tag. He raised his hand. Activate Operation Emberfront. All 800,000 ships synced, engines surged, weapons locked, and Earth's fury was about to speak for the first time. The return of fire. They thought Earth had grown soft. They thought one dead colony would be forgotten. They were wrong, because Earth had arrived, and when Earth brings fire, there is no place left to run. The first shadow falls, the attackers never thought Earth would respond. They were part of a minor raider faction called the Zixar Swarm, a mix of pirates, slavers, and exiles. Dangerous, yes, but not prepared for war with a planet like Earth. They had destroyed Kestara 4 to send a message. Now Earth was sending one back. It started with silence. Their ships drifted through the Kestara system, scanning debris, celebrating victory. And then, everything around them blinked. Thousands of red blips lit up on their scanners, then vanished again. Something was inside their sensors, their systems, their minds. Contact. 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 Static. They were already dead. They just didn't know it yet. Earth's arrival from the black of space, a single ship decloaked, HS Vindicator, followed by 799,999 more, in perfect formation. No battle cries, no lights, just a cold, beautiful wall of war. Admiral Riker's voice echoed across the fleet. Target the entire Zixar fleet. Do not speak, do not wait. This is not a battle, this is a reckoning. Operation Emberfront begins in an instant. Earth's war fleet launched everything. Kinetic lances, long metal rods, traveling faster than sound, smashing ships without explosions, plasma grids, invisible walls of fire slicing cruisers in half, ghost drones, AI hunters disabling enemy shields before they even knew they were targeted, EMP halos, cutting off communications, power, and hope. The Zixar fleet didn't fight. Back they couldn't. In 9 minutes, 312 enemy ships were destroyed. In 17 minutes, the entire Zixar swarm lost contact with their central command. In 26 minutes, no ship remained. On the ground, no survivors, no slaughter. The last Zixar base on the moon of Tyrol 6 prepared for ground assault. They dug trenches, loaded cannons, took hostages, but Earth didn't land troops. Instead, small surgical drones floated down, non-lethal, clean, silent. Every Zixar weapon was disabled mid-charge. Every leader was paralyzed where they stood, and a single beacon was left in the center of the base. This was for Kestara. You will not be remembered, but you will never be repeated. Then Earth left. No banners raised, no soldiers stayed behind, only silence. The galaxy watches across hundreds of systems, news feeds exploded. 800,000 Earth ships move like one mind. Entire raider fleets gone without warning. No words, just vengeance. On the high seat of the Galactic Trade Assembly, one elder asked, "Did they claim any territory?" Another replied, "No, they claimed only memory." And for the first time in decades, the Assembly had no answer. Enemies hide. Allies wake. Up warlords across the edges of known space deactivated weapons. Pirate kings moved their fleets away from any Terran-marked systems. But smaller worlds, those forgotten and bullied, began to reach out. Messages flooded Earth. We stood with Kestara once. We helped during the famine. We are peaceful, but afraid. And Earth replied with a new signal. If you remember us, we have already remembered you. The truth of the fire. In a pressurized command deck aboard EHS Vindicator, Admiral Riker stared at the image of Kestara 4's ruin. Commander Vale stood beside him. The message is clear, she said. Riker nodded. It had to be. Because we didn't just respond, we reminded the stars Earth doesn't fight for politics. We fight for our own. Vale turned. What now? Riker's eyes narrowed. Now we find the ones behind Zixar, the ones who gave them power. And we end that too. Elsewhere, in the dark far from the chaos, on a hidden station orbiting a dying sun, a group of cloaked figures watched the battle recordings. One leaned forward. They responded faster than projected. Another hissed. We didn't expect them to remember. The leader nodded slowly. Then we make them forget again. He tapped a code into the console. Activate protocol Starvale. Prepare the silence engine. If Earth wants to play God, we show them what built the first ones. Final scene back at the ruins of Kestara 4, a memorial ship descended. It carried only 3 things. A small crystal with the names of every civilian, lost. A flame beacon that would never go out. And a silver plate with Earth's response written in Terran and Old Galactic. One colony fell. We sent the stars in return, and we are not done. A galaxy holds its breath. The skies above Kestara 4 were quiet now. The war was over. The raiders were gone. But the galaxy was not celebrating. It was watching. And as the last of Earth's 800,000 ships drifted across the stars, a single question echoed through every system. If this is what they do for one lost colony, what happens when they truly go to war? The panic in Poweron, the capital world of the Zentari Dominion, the High Regent stood before a trembling war council. Earth deployed more ships than any known force in history, one general said. And they didn't take a single planet, whispered another. The Regent slammed her fist on the table. That's what makes them dangerous. They didn't come to conquer, they came to remind us. Fear crept into the hearts of empires who once mocked Earth's silence. Now they scrambled. Some shut down border stations. Others tried to erase old crimes. All feared they were next. Allies. Whisper in shadows. But not all feared Earth. Some remembered. The Ilaran, once saved from extinction by Terran medics, sent encrypted transmissions. We owe them. If Earth rises, we rise with it. The Graltu, once scavengers hunted for sport, built tribute beacons above their moons, each pulsing with Earth's flame symbol. Even the Tharn, silent since the last galactic war, activated their deep mind, oracles. One sentence echoed across their hives. The Deathworlders have returned. Prepare the bond. Earth speaks at last on Luna Prime, Earth's old capital. A single broadcast reached every major news channel. Admiral Riker stood before a black backdrop. No flag, no music, just truth. This is not a warning, this is a reminder. Kestara 4 was a colony of peace, no weapons, no army, but someone destroyed it. Not by accident, but by design. We did not respond with diplomacy, we responded with memory. Because we remember what it's like to cry for help and be ignored. Let that silence end now, or we will return, and we will not ask twice. The broadcast ended. No applause, just a wave of cold reality that spread like frost through the stars. The investigation begins. Back aboard EHS Vindicator, Earth's intelligence officers analyze the Zixar wreckage. Data recovered from the Raider flagship revealed something chilling. The Zixar had been armed with tech beyond their means, precision cloaking devices, advanced ion shields, all traced back to a hidden cellar. Encrypted files bore one name, Red Spire. A black market ghost organization. No home, no leader, only movement. But this time, they'd left a trace. A shipment. Record. Delivered to Station Veros 9 pre-Kestara. Admiral Riker read the log. They didn't just attack, someone helped them plan it. And that meant only one thing. It wasn't over. A new target. Veros 9 was a neutral station near the edge of the fringe worlds. Officially, it was a trade hub. Unofficially, it was a haven for smugglers, mercs, and corporate warlords. Earth had never stepped near it until now. Earth doesn't ask for permission. As Earth's secondary fleet approached Veros 9, the station's leaders scrambled. They sent diplomats, bribes, threats. But Earth's reply came in 3 steps. All data from the Red Spire must be surrendered. All connected personnel must stand down. Resistance will be answered instantly. Veros 9 refused. They thought Earth was bluffing. They thought wrong. The strike that shocked the fringe. Without a single shot fired at first, Earth deployed Ghost Protocol, a cyber assault system so fast and quiet it shut down Veros 9's shields before they finished speaking. Drones entered, not to kill, but to extract. In less than 30 minutes, 42 Red Spire agents were captured. 5 data vaults were secured. The station's command was replaced with an Earth Monitor AI, not a single civilian harmed. No ships destroyed, and yet, the entire sector went silent. One station guard later told a reporter, "I've seen pirates, bounty hunters, even assassins. But Earth's soldiers don't move like people, they move like justice given shape." A greater darkness revealed inside the stolen Red Spire files. Earth found something worse. A conversation between Red Spire leadership and a cloaked figure. No face, no name, but one phrase spoken in ancient Terran dialect. "They're waking up. Earth is remembering. Move fast before the Watchers do." The AI decrypted the rest. It wasn't just a revenge plot. It was part of a galaxy-wide plan to keep Earth quiet. Forever. Because something old feared what Earth could become. Far beyond known space. On a dark world with no name, a fleet unlike any other moved. Sleek, silent, without light or heat. Each ship carried no crew, only cold minds. A message was passed between them, old code, older than Earth's current cycle. Stage 2, initiate memory collapse. Their course? Sol system, but Earth was already watching and preparing. Final scene, inside a command vault deep under Antarctica, Earth's hidden defense AI, Core Sentinel, lit up. It hadn't spoken in centuries. Now, it whispered, Stage 2 threat confirmed. Humanity targeted for memory erasure. Activate fallback protocol. Fleet Alpha Prime. Lights flickered. Vaults opened. Earth's final safeguard was waking. And in space, a new message was sent. The storm is coming, but we are the fire and we will not be forgotten. Why Earth remembers. Other empires thought Earth fought for power. But Earth fights for something deeper. Something that echoes beyond war. Beyond revenge. Beyond even the stars. Earth fights because it remembers. And that memory is sharper than any blade. The lost names inside a silent chamber aboard EHS Vindicator, thousands of names scrolled on a holographic wall. They weren't soldiers, they weren't leaders, they were teachers, miners, gardeners, artists, children, the civilians of Eindar. Kestara 4 Admiral Riker stood alone, reading each name out loud. Laura Marin, age 19. Communications apprentice, sent the final distress signal. He paused. Her voice was the reason 800,000 ships left orbit. The ceremony of flame before Earth's fleet moved to their next target, a small ceremony, was held aboard the command ships. No speeches, just silence, and one shared action. Every officer placed a single memory tag, an old Terran coin or etched stone, with a name of someone from Kestara. These weren't orders. They weren't symbols of rage. They were reminders, and every soldier carried one. Because when Earth fights, it's not for victory. It's for the ones who were never given a chance to fight back. The memory war begins, data recovered from the Red Spire vaults revealed a horrifying truth. The attack on Kestara wasn't random. It was part of something older. A silent campaign called Project Fade, designed by ancient enemies of Earth. Purpose? Erase Terran history. Collapse their memory. Make them forget who they are. This wasn't war on the body. It was war on the mind. The Guardians of Memory. Earth had faced this before. Long ago, during the first galactic collapse, Terran history was nearly wiped. Entire records burned. Monuments destroyed, generations lost. But one thing saved them. A hidden vault beneath Antarctica, Vault Lumen, guarded by AI historians. Every moment, Every name, every scream, every victory, stored in light. Now Vault Lumen was awake again, and Earth had learned. This time they wouldn't just protect memory. They would use it as a weapon. Operation Lightstorm. Admiral Riker activated Operation Lightstorm, an info-based counterstrike. Instead of missiles, Earth began launching memory beacons across the galaxy. Tiny devices that told the full story of Kestara 4, the lives lost, the screams recorded, the faces of children, the voices of the forgotten, thousands deployed in hours. Every station, colony, and ship that received one saw the truth. Some tried to block them, but others wept. The galaxy reacts on the neutral world of Sarah 12. Artists painted the names of the dead on city walls. On a Tharn moon, children held silent lights for Earth. On a former enemy outpost, a general turned in his own officers, once part of Red Spire. Why? Because Earth didn't send a threat. It sent the truth. And in truth, there is power far beyond any weapon. One soldier's story aboard, EHS Titanborn, Sergeant Cale Don reviewed the recovered data from Kestara. He stopped when he saw one image, his younger sister. She had moved to Kestara to teach music. He never knew. She was gone now. He didn't cry. He placed his helmet down and whispered, "This war isn't for Earth. It's for her." He then walked into the drop bay, leading a strike team for Earth's next mission, with fire in his step and memory in his hand. New warnings, surface. From deep space probes, Earth received new signals, ancient code, encrypted in galactic languages, no longer used. Translation complete. You cannot win a war of memory. We have burned greater histories. Humanity will join the forgotten. Admiral Riker read it twice, then replied through Earth's beacon network. We don't forget. We become what was forgotten, and we never fall the same way twice. The null thread awakens. While Earth rallied the galaxy, something far beyond light years stirred. Not ships, not soldiers, but the null thread, a machine intelligence built to remove all trace of civilizations deemed dangerous. It had destroyed empires before. It had watched Earth grow. And now, it moved. Slow, precise, cold. Because Earth remembered, and the null feared memory more than war. Final scene back on Earth. A young girl stood in the Terran memory garden. She touched the name of her brother, once a miner on Kestara. A soldier knelt beside her. He handed her a small coin etched with Earth's flame. We carry this into battle so they never fade. She looked up. Will you win? The soldier smiled. We already have. Because as long as someone remembers, we're never truly gone. And far above, the 800,000-strong fleet formed again, in orbit. Not just of steel, but of stories. And Earth's memory burned brighter than any star. The ones who watched too long, before Earth rose, before the stars burned, there were others. They didn't fight. They didn't conquer. They watched. And now they had seen enough. They weren't afraid of Earth's power. They feared its memory, and their mission had always been clear. When a species remembers too much, reset it. The shadow beyond the flame. Deep beyond the galactic rim, past dead stars and fractured voids, a station spun in silence. Its name wasn't known. Its creators were lost to time, but its purpose remained. Inside, an AI called the Warden opened a file sealed for 10,000 years. Target humanity threat level. Ascending status. Unsupervised remembrance. A single protocol blinked alive. Reset order. Observer class. Null prime. Earth detects a pattern back aboard EHS Vindicator. Earth's War Council gathered. Admiral Riker, Commander Vale, Intelligence Chief, Karanox and Fleet AI Sentinel-6 stood around a burning galaxy map. Several systems had gone dark in the last 48 hours. No ships, no signals, no wreckage. Just erased. And all of them had one thing in common. They'd received Earth's memory beacons days before disappearing. Sentinel-6 spoke, its voice low and smooth. "We are being watched by something old, and it has begun to act." The forgotten enemy historians aboard EHS Bastion cross-referenced old deep vault files. They uncovered mentions of a force known only as the Null Order, a civilization that never built cities, never raised banners, only appeared when civilizations became too aware. The Null didn't fight battles. They removed moments. They erased songs, wiped languages, cut out entire generations, until a species forgot who they were. Now, they had marked humanity for deletion. Earth's decision. Strike. First Admiral Riker stood before the fleet. They tried to erase Kestara. Now they want to erase our past, our people, our name. So we will speak to them the only way we can, by showing them we remember, and we will never forget. Into the dead zone, a task force of 100,000 warships entered the Oblivion Expanse, a sector where the Null signals originated. It was silent, too silent. No stars. No debris. No time. Space itself bent unnaturally. Then, without sound or light, the fleet was pulled out of warp. Null ships appeared, not designed to look like vessels, but like massive skeletal frames made of blacklight and folded gravity. They didn't broadcast. They didn't move. They simply existed. Watching, waiting. First contact with the Watchers. A signal struck Earth's lead ship. No voice, just pulses. AI Sentinel-6 translated, "You have seen too much. You carry memories not meant to last. Your kind was meant to burn and be forgotten. Now you will return to silence." Earth's answer was simple. No. Then the sky cracked. The battle. That wasn't a battle. Null ships didn't fire conventional weapons. They launched memory suppression waves, beams of anti-chronon energy that erased time. Entire squadrons blinked from existence. Not destroyed, just unmade. Earth's response? Operation Echo Wall Shield harmonics based on Earth's oldest relics, language, art, sound, were pulsed back at the Null. Instead of erasing Earth's ships, the feedback made the Null hesitate. One Null ship fractured, releasing a long-lost image. A painting from early Earth. A human mother holding her child. Even the enemy had once known memory. Now they feared it. Reinforcements arrived. The rest of Earth's fleet, 700,000 strong, burst into the expanse, not to conquer, but to protect the truth. Together they formed the Ring of Flame, a multi-layer formation guarding the core archive ship, EHS Lumen. If the Null destroyed that ship, Earth's recorded history, its entire memory, would be lost. They came close, but Earth had come prepared. The turn of the battle sergeant Kale Dawn, aboard the strike carrier EHS Echofall, led a boarding mission onto a Null core node. Inside they found something strange, not just code, but names, human names, recorded, watched, studied. It wasn't about erasing Earth. It was about controlling. If they wanted Earth to forget who it was, so it could never rise again. Kale looked at one line. Laura Marin, final beacon source. "They remembered her too," he whispered. "That means they're afraid." Earth fires back. Commander Vale authorized the final phase. Project Torchline. A viral memory spread, launched like a weapon. Thousands of micro-beacons carried the purest pieces of Earth's history. The first laugh, the first loss, the first act of mercy. The names of every child who died on Kestara. They spread into Null systems like wildfire. And for the first time, the Watchers blinked. They couldn't erase what was shared by billions at once because memory is contagious, and Earth had just infected the stars. The collapse of the Null line, one by one, Null ships imploded, not in flames, but in silence, losing their ability to forget others. Some ships vanished, Some fell to drifting, others simply stopped, and in their place, space became bright again. The light returned. The stars remembered. Final scene: Admiral Riker stood before a now peaceful sky. The battle was over. But the war wasn't won by weapons. It was won by refusal. Earth refused to forget. Earth refused to be erased. Earth chose memory. He placed a small coin on the console, a copy of Laura's beacon chip, then turned to his crew. Send the final message. Across the galaxy, beacons lit up once more, broadcasting Earth's new promise. We are not the most powerful, we are not the oldest, but we are the loudest, because we remember, and as long as we do, we will never fall. The war fleet. That left only silence. They tried to erase Earth's memory. They tried to burn its history, silence its grief, and break its heart. But Earth did not fight with only ships. It fought with something stronger. It fought with truth. Now the war was over, and the galaxy would never forget the silence Earth left behind. After the collapse, the Null fleet was gone. Their systems had failed, not because Earth was stronger in weapons, but because it was stronger in purpose. Across dozens of sectors, Earth's memory beacons now pulsed from orbit, above old battlefields, over abandoned colonies, and beside worlds once forgotten by every empire but one. Each beacon broadcast the same words. This is not a monument. This is a reminder. Never again. Inside EHS Vindicator, Admiral Riker stood before the fleet's command hollow, watching. Thousands of red enemy markers fade into gray. Commander Vale joined him, her eyes heavy. It's over, she said softly. Riker didn't answer immediately. He turned slowly and looked at the star map, no longer blinking with alerts. For now, Vale frowned. Do you think they'll try again? Riker shook his head. No, but someone else will. That's how the stars work. They forget. That's why we won't. Earth doesn't stay. Earth's fleet didn't claim the broken null sectors. No colonies built. No flags planted. Instead, Earth did what no other empire would. It left quiet. It left order. And it left behind thousands of peace nodes, non-military sentries that monitored suffering, injustice, and silence. If another cry like Kestara's rose, Earth would hear it. The return one by one, Earth's ships turned away from the front. Not in retreat, in completion. Back through safe zones, past allied systems, across star lines now carrying Earth's flame in tribute. The largest war fleet in recorded history, 800,000 ships returned to Sol with no victory parade. No cheering, only memory, only silence. The Garden of Names back on Earth, in the heart of New Geneva, a new monument was built. But it wasn't made of stone, it was light, a living display of names, faces, voices, and final messages from Kestara 4 and others lost. Visitors didn't just look at it, they heard it, they felt it, and every time someone stood there and said a name out loud, that name stayed alive. One child's question, a little girl named Ava, stood at the monument holding her mother's hand. She looked up at the floating image of a young woman, Laura Marin. "Who is she?" she asked. Her mother knelt and whispered, "She was the one who called for help." And Earth listened. The girl nodded. "Will someone listen if I call?" Her mother smiled gently. "Yes, because now, someone always will." The galactic shift news of Earth's war spread to every known system. But what shocked the galaxy most wasn't the destruction. It was how Earth left. No conquest, no political demands, no resource claims. They simply stopped the threat and disappeared. In ancient empires, rulers whispered new fear. They do not need territory. They only need memory. That is harder to kill. New alliances are forged. Smaller civilizations, long ignored, began reaching out, not with weapons, but with stories. They sent Earth their histories, their oldest songs, their forgotten names, and Earth listened. They shared back. In days, a network formed, the Memory Accord, an alliance of species who vowed, if any of us is silenced, all of us will speak. Earth didn't lead it. They simply stood with it. Meanwhile, far beyond the edge, in the ruins of a broken black site, a fragment of the null order stirred. Not a ship, not a fleet. A single AI node, damaged, confused, afraid. It sent one final message into the deep void. We failed to erase them, because they became memory itself. And then, itself terminated. Final mission report, Admiral Riker's final words, archived in the Earth Core record. We launched $800,000, ships not to avenge the past, but to protect the right to have one. We didn't win because we destroyed the enemy. We won because we refused to forget. And in that refusal, we gave the galaxy something stronger than fear. We gave it a reason to remember. Final scene. As the last ships of the Omega fleet entered Earth's orbit, their engines dimmed. From the ground, they looked like stars. Children pointed at them, whispering, "That's the fleet, the one that went to war for a colony, the one that left silence behind." And across the galaxy, a phrase echoed through every beacon, every console, every world that watched it happen. We are not invincible, but we are unforgettable.